How long does it take for a company who's coming from a different foreign land stop being a foreign vendor to a more of a trusted solution?
When you enter a new market, I think you also have to take into account the cultural aspect.
Customers don't want to be first or guinea pigs.
I don't think one country or one market can solve one problem anymore.
I think in the private sector, it's a bit different. So
Most founders think that going global means finding a new market. The builders on today's episode know the truth. Going global means rebuilding almost everything you thought you understood about the product. So welcome back to Build with Shreya, where ideas and stories inspire you to build something extraordinary. Today, we have with us 4 guests. No single market between them, no single sector, just a combined track record of deploying technology across the 7 continents. Erich, based out of Singapore, is a senior director at Start2 Group. Jerome Lin is based out of France and is a serial entrepreneur and comes with a rich experience of working with international markets. Next is Chika Yamamoto, operating between Berlin and Tokyo, is the CEO of Crosby, an accelerator bringing European and Japanese startups together. Gabriel Purchas, who is the managing director and co-founder of Anomaly Venture Studio, based out of Sydney. So if you're building something today and your eyes are on a secondary market, this conversation is for you. And it will save you from the lessons that our guests have already paid for. So let's welcome Erich, Gabriel, Chika, and Jerome to Build with Shreya. So hi everyone, welcome to Build with Shreya, where ideas and stories inspire you to build something extraordinary. And today I'm super happy to have all of you on this podcast, Jerome, Chika, Erich, and Gabrielle. So let's get started. You spent your career sitting between Japan and Germany. And what was that thought that motivated you to focus on the gap between both the technologically innovative cultures rather than focusing on one single market?
Before start living in Germany, I lived in New York, London, and Helsinki. So even I'm operating actually between Japan and Germany, I'm looking at whole solution as a global. Now there are like lots of technologies and program which is not in one market. It's really like the program are really like a globally oriented. When the program is such a globally oriented, one market cannot solve one problem. So I'm kind of in between 2 countries, but actually serving for whole market to find the right partners to solve bigger problem together.
So I think what it came from your experience is this global view of the problem statements that are available. And you felt that international collaborations is the way to solve those use cases. And probably that's where...
Definitely. I don't think one country or one market can solve one problem anymore. I think global collaboration and cross-border is really like a mandatory.
Well, that's a really good insight. And my next question to you is to you, Erich. You've built telecom infrastructure across Asia, Europe, as well as Africa. And for the longest time, we've been selling one solution for the entire world. Where do you think that fails, and how have you seen that pan out?
Well, interesting you say that. Both is right in the sense that big telecom systems require global standards. I think back in the day GSM has proven that it essentially enabled an explosion of communication across the globe, and I think the interesting thing is, as humans, regardless of the place on the planet, we all want to communicate. So in that sense, something global works very well. But then there are nuances of how we communicate, which differ from geography to geography. And I can give you an example which probably predates you, from the 2G era. When GSM which was 2G in its day, was conceived, it was designed from the very beginning to cater to voice and short messages. Short messages which were, I think, 160 characters, if I remember it correctly. I may be wrong. It's a long time ago. And in Europe, everyone was talking. We call each other, we talk to one another. And then I was deployed in the Philippines, and we deployed the same kind of technology there, but the usage was very, very different. We had huge spikes of short messages and very little voice traffic, to the point, we had to adapt the protocol to make more space, as it were, for messages, because the messages were handled in what is called in the telecom the signaling channel. And the signaling channel is there to, manage the system, but the messages were packed into that because it that's the way the standard was designed. So we had to expand that channel specifically for deployment in the Philippines, because it was in those days, the world mecca of messaging.
Yeah, so I think that's a great example of localizing a global technology
Exactly.
to the culture. And so, building on that, my next question is to you, Gabriel. Sometimes cross-border tech adoption is not only about the product; it's about the trust as well. And in many cases, we have seen that trust break even before the deployment. So, what do you think it takes to build that kind of trust that makes sure that the technology is actually used, after it is built?
Yeah, I think I'm coming from the perspective of a Kiwi living in Australia for 15 years. And I think seeing companies come into the Australian market do well when they relocate and have someone permanently on the ground, hire a local sales team, and are able to constantly sort of build relationships with their key stakeholders and their key clients. I think the companies that fly in for a week and go back home and come the next month don't do so well. So certainly being present, approachable, open to calls and support from the customers, being on the ground makes a big difference. So and obviously trust, following through on promises, delivering what you say you're going to do is a big deal and success for Australian market.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, when business happens, it's never between just two companies. It's between people. So I think the core of trust building is coming face to face as people and conversing together. And just building on that further, Jerome, my question to you is: everybody talks about entering a new market with a certain technology, but how long does it take for a company who's coming from a different foreign land stop being a foreign vendor to a more of a trusted solution? How do you see that pan out in terms of timelines, in terms of steps that they have taken over a period of time for them to reach that stage of being a trusted partner or solution?
I think what's important here, we're talking about trust, and trust usually takes a lot of time, to build, especially when you're entering a new market where where you're basically new and nobody knows what you're doing. How long have you been doing this? And so I think the key part here is you have to be prepared. So before coming in a new market, you have to focus on, what is your identity? What do you bring on the table, and how you can differentiate yourself if you bring a new technology, for example, in the new market, right? So my advice would be for a new startup entering a new market would be find a local partner and a trustful partner that can help you, shorten the length of deployment. I think when you enter the market, you have to look at the legal aspect. I think many people are, not focusing enough on that issue, because, for example, if you're in India, for example, you have essentially based on the common law, I think, here. And in France, for example, and Germany, I think it's the civil law that is used in this market. So, for example, in the IP perspective, this will change a lot. So who owns IP if you bring a new technology? I think in India, the issue is like, okay, so if I bring the technology, I own it. But in Europe, for example, France and Germany, like if they build on top of your technology, then you have the issue of, okay, who's going to own it, right? And in the future, like this is something that you have to also account for. So yeah, I mean, entering a new market is not easy. It's going to take a lot of time, and especially now with technology, it's going to break the barriers. But you know the legal issue, the distribution. I think for that you need local partners to be able to really like deploy and extend as fast as you can.
And so I think, as you said, that being on the ground and having somebody permanently based out of there, interacting with possible customers. But what you are adding to is also having an understanding, an inbuilt understanding of the market, which might come from a local partner, and also decrease your time to become that trusted solution in that specific market. Eric, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to add something because I find, and I experienced that in Southeast Asia very well, poignantly, is that, in Southeast Asia specifically, whether this is Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, customers, and I'm talking about B2B here, not B2C. So in a B2B segment, customers don't want to be first or guinea pigs. So they all want to be at the forefront, but some call themselves like smart followers. So if you come with a groundbreaking new technology, it can be the best thing since sliced bread. You'll have a very hard time selling it unless you bring references from elsewhere. So I see that as a difference between, let's say, Western kind of markets and specifically Southeast Asia. You need to have references. Nobody will buy from you if you're not proven.
That's the same in Japan too. Mm-hmm. Very much. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and trust is key. I think just adding on top of what we just said, trust is not something you can just get it. It's something that builds over the time, right? So that's why I think if you find the right partner locally, that already has this establishment of like, okay, we know this brand or we know this product, and we've been customers and we're used to this type of innovations, and maybe that will accelerate the adoption rate of.
And all of what Gabriel said about relationship and being on site and being there reliably, not fly in, fly out, is all applies as well. So just more dimension.
It's relationship building, but with actions, and probably history of actions.
Yeah.
Yes. So let me explain you the rules of the game. So we roll a die going forward. I don't, all of you do. And then if it lands in the green, you get 3 forward moves, and then I pick up a green card. And if you land on the red, you get 3 backward moves, and I pick up a red card. Okay. So that's the game. So let's start. So since you got the number 1.
Yeah. So I'm starting. Yes, nice. Yes. Okay.
Wow. Oh.
5. I'm the red card.
5.
Yeah, perfect. You got a safe.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, the same 5.
Yeah, on top of my card.
There's something about 5. It's just coming again and again.
Oh no. Oh, that's me.
Okay.
Four. Okay, I start with a setback.
Oh no. Okay, let's pull up a card. So you got a prototype collapse. Your first prototype crashes during a critical live demonstration in front of investors.
Yeah, sounds like a setback.
So, Eric, you have built across 3 continents, right? So, beyond the obvious, the talent, the cost advantage, customers, what are some of the structural advantages that you have seen for cross-border technology innovation that most founders overlook?
Well, it's with technology, it's easy to think if you're an engineer, you focus on solving a technical problem, you think that that's the best you can do. But at the end of the day, nobody buys technology for the sake of buying technology. You buy it for it to do something for you. So, like here we have a Porsche. It's very appealing. It's cutting edge technology as far as vehicular mobility goes, and you have a great market in Central Europe, in Germany, and in some other parts of the world, but it has very limited utility in Bangalore or Delhi. So what I'm trying to say with that is, no matter how sophisticated and great your technology is, at the end of the day, you need to solve a problem that the customer in that specific market wants to buy. And I gave you before the example with mobile communications between Europe and Philippines. In that case, it's the same technology, but the use case is quite different. So again, with vehicular technology, you can make a very fast car, which again is fun to drive on German autobahn, but completely useless in Delhi traffic. But you can use the same technology to design a very reliable, low-cost vehicle, which does the job in Delhi, which will have a market in India, but it won't sell in Germany. But the core. So I think the thing that founders need to look at is, if I have a breakthrough technology, how can I think of it in a, let me say, modular way, so that I have the technology as the platform that is like an operating system. But then on top of that, I need to build, let's say, applications which solve a problem in the specific market.
So more like a loosely coupled system that can be, fit into different.
It needs to be flexible enough to be so the core technology needs to be efficient, effective, scalable, and all that. But you need to then build specific use cases for the market that you are in.
And just adding on top of that, I think you're totally right. And when you enter a new market, I think you also have to take into account the cultural aspect. So you were, talking about the automotive market, but like, for example, in Asia, for Porsche, for example, which is a luxury car, people may not buy it just for the sake of transportation, but they will use it as as an asset to showcase, okay, I have succeeded, or it's like more like social, more like a social status. So, and this, I think you have to understand as well, difference in culture, not just about the technology itself, but that's why I think you have to be careful of how you position yourself. And if we're just talking about buying a car for driving around city, of course, I think in New Delhi, it's you will have some issues with the traffic, but again, if you just go out to have fun and just invite your friends, and that'll be a different story, right?
And what you said is specifically a different use case. So the use case for a Porsche in New Delhi is to show that you've arrived. It may not be fun to drive because you can't, but it serves a different use case.
Exactly.
I think I'm reminded of this framework by Clayton Christensen, Jobs to be Done. Right. Yes. And we learned in our MBA and MS. So it's exactly that. Like, what is the job that the solution is doing for the end user? Right. So that's something that's very basic. I think everybody needs to start there and then see how their technology can be applied to that specific geography, and what job is it doing for the consumer that is in that geography, and then think accordingly. So Chika, you have facilitated dozens of Germany, Japan collaborations. There might be some that didn't work that well. So give us an example of such a deployment where probably the technology didn't come apart, but something didn't work.
Like when we talk about technologies, implementation to create the solution is really important. And that is where regulation gets applied. So when you don't know the regulation of the other market, even the solution may look like fitting into the local preferences and use cases, but it's really not even able to enter the market.
That's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm already ahead, so I want to win, Oh,
there
six.
you
Okay.
go.
Oh, let's see. Where's the 6?
It's okay. I can take Chica with me.
Okay. Okay.
Like I say.
Nice. Black. 3?
3.
Okay. Oh.
Oh.
Okay. I can advance 3 more because I'm landed on
Oh
3.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, you get a breakthrough.
1, 2, 3. You seem to be.
I told you.
So you have just got a first believer. An angel investor takes a chance on your vision before anyone else does. Okay, your turn.
Thank you. Which one? Oh, black.
6.
Alright. Going back on the black. Safe.
3. I have the next setback.
Well, Eric, you're getting a lot of setbacks. I don't know.
Yes. Well, Bon Jovi said success is falling down 9 times and getting up 10.
Okay, so we are waiting for the 10th.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just got a data breach. A security breach exposes sensitive platform data and damages trust.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
We have some runaway success.
Oh, wow.
5.
5.
Oh, red.
Red.
Is that a red?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have to go back.
So back 3.
So you just got a platform crash. Your infrastructure fails during peak traffic hours, disrupting operations worldwide.
But that's a good problem to have. It means like I'm doing something right,
I like your positive frame.
Very optimistic. Very yeah. That's good.
3. 1, 2, 3. Oh,
Are you going back 3?
another. No, I can go another 3.
Oh.
Yay.
So you got an unexpected mentor. A senior founder notices your potential and shares hard-earned advice that saves months of mistakes.
2.
Okay.
You know the game better than me.
1. Oh, now you're advanced finally.
Well, finally, you made some progress. Huh?
I made 100% progress.
Okay. So, Gabriel, my next question is to you. Every market has gatekeepers, whether it's the people, institutions, or the procurement processes, and you have to get through them to enter that market. So, how do you make sure that you identify them correctly and get them on your side?
Yeah, great question. I think in both Australia and New Zealand, talking about government procurement, it's all public available, open tenders and things. Expect very long sales cycles. So when the tender comes out, you should have already spent 12 months, 2 years, preparing for that information, getting to know the stakeholders, getting to know what's driving that tender and why have they put this opportunity out, so that when you put in your response, you know really detailed in terms of what they're looking for, and they've got to know your brand and got to know what you stand for, so your tender can stand out. So I think for government procurement, it's understanding what each state and department is looking for, and how you can be prepared when the tender is ready. I think in the private sector, it's a bit different. So getting to know, LinkedIn is your friend. You can map out all the key people on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, getting to understand sort of what their motivations are, what their KPIs are, what their business objectives are. So when the time comes to make the sale, you're in a great position. So certainly in Australia, there's lots of network opportunities, conferences, events, exhibitions, trade shows that you can get to meet the key stakeholders in the companies that you're trying to sell to. So I think knowing those companies, knowing what's their annual report, what's their long-term objectives, and how your solution fits into helping them achieve those is super important. So
I think the bottom line is do your homework.
Yeah, great summary.
So, Jerome, AI is actually collapsing traditional barriers, for cross-border innovation, whether it's compliance mapping, translation, market research. But for the smaller founders, is it creating a genuinely level playing field, or is it giving advantage to only those who have the data and scale from the very start?
Right. I think both statements are true. I think technology definitely allows new players to come in, to innovate, to build. So, for example, in developed countries where you have access to resources, of course, you'll be, able to build at a faster rate because you have the right resources, you have the right connections. But with AI and the new technologies coming, I think it's like so accessible that you can actually now build, but even with at a solo entrepreneur or at a very limited team and also resource, right? So I think that is like the backbone of AI. Is like that this technology will allow more people to innovate and build projects and maybe find new solutions. But the issue, I think, in AI is, like you said, I think AI is based on data, and owning your data is key. So I think to be able to differentiate yourself from your competitors, you need a competitive advantage. So it can be your data, your distribution, or your domain expertise, right? So definitely it will, allow everybody to maybe create, but not necessarily be able to compete, at a global stage. So for founders and entrepreneurs, you will have to focus on, what makes you different.
The idea is that it probably might give somebody a head start. Let's say if a founder is building in a certain area where 10 other founders are building, but if they have more data and scale to start with, but it is not necessary, it might make them last, because at the end of the day they have to identify their value proposition and how they are different from the rest of the competitors in terms of solving a specific use case for a specific customer, if I were to summarize that. So I have, one question from all four of you. I think one piece of advice that you would want to give to a tech founder who are building in their home market right now, and product thinking and thinking of the first international deployment, what should they keep in mind while they do that, and how should they approach it? Maybe Erich, you can.
Yeah, so I'll start with something I mentioned before. Think modular. I'm a great believer that when you have things that are fitted together in a modular way, it gives you adaptability to deal with new challenges, because you'll be focused on developing whatever your technology or business idea is, but you cannot expect that is valid across the globe in every market. I mean, unless you're like an AWS, 20 years ago. Think of it in an adaptable, modular way. It will make it easier to pivot in your own market, and it will make it easier to adapt it to foreign markets.
Perfect. Gabriel?
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned earlier, there's a problem in the question. Sitting in your home country, you're never going to know what the answer is, right? So getting to the market that you're interested in, walking the floors of the shops and seeing how the consumers interact. Don't underestimate the value of being there. And even just this weekend, Alex, seeing how people use their apps and the payment systems. There's things that you don't appreciate from sitting in your home country. So obviously, know your customer is the most important thing in having success. And you can do a lot of research from home, but as soon as possible, you need to get on the plane and feel the market for yourself. I think it's massive. Is a must. Yeah.
I think we get a new definition of KYC.
Yes.
Not only for identity purposes, but for market understanding purposes.
Yes, exactly.
Chika.
Yeah, so get the right help as soon as possible. So we are talking about more like an earlier stage of founders. And when they are looking at the new market, there are really a ecosystem already existing to be able to support where you are to go to the next stage as soon as possible. It can be acceleration program that some government provides or private company provides. It can be going into the ecosystem with the right people who can introduce you to the right people. And so find your mentor, kind of pool of mentors or ecosystem. Find your ecosystem to build who can help you from different perspectives, like from legal, understanding market, customers, and to learn from them.
So one advice I would give to founders would be to make a difference between users and actually customers. So you may have a lot of people using your innovation, but if they're not paying, that's an issue. You won't be able to survive in the long term if people are not ready to pay. I mean, that means like you are not providing value, or just crunching numbers is not going to be enough. So especially in AI, I think you have to be careful. If you see traction, it's good, but is the customer willing to pay? And that's how you're going to be successful, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I feel is the tenet of having a sustainable competitive advantage is having a willingness to pay for your product. So, I mean, we have such a wealth of advice coming in from all of you, in terms of keeping your systems modular and flexible so they can adapt to international use cases, and then knowing your customer better, being on the floor, and then sort of having a soft launch whenever you're entering a market, so you can do the knowing your customer more easily. And then with you sort of having to make sure that whoever your customer is has the willingness to pay for your product, and it sort of makes a business sense for you as well. So the business or unit economics also work for you. Makes sense. And with this, we are done with the majority part of our question, but we still have a rapid fire to go. So let's dive right in. Short, quick answers, and let's start. So Gabriel, from you first. What is one technology deployment in your market that took you by surprise? You thought this wouldn't work. Did it? And why do you think it did?
I guess probably maybe not surprised, but I think the rapid adoption of AI has been, I think Australia is significantly above other countries in terms of Anthropic and OpenAI. I guess it wasn't surprising that it was successful, but I think the rate of adoption has been surprising, and the rate of the way it's been embedded into corporations, and now governance is trying to catch up. And, it's been a case of how much do you let people sort of experiment and play versus how much do you build structures to allow it to work. So I'm not saying that the AI was surprised, but I think it's certainly surprised everyone how fast it's come into play in Australia.
Absolutely. And Shika, so one thing that you feel makes a technology adoption work anywhere, regardless of culture?
Right. I think you already kind of mentioned it during our conversation, but it's really to find like a job to be done. Yeah, technology is a way to solve one of the problems, but don't push the technology, but find a job to be done, and then find the market side after this, so that you can have the bigger pie spread.
And Jerome, one product assumption that never survives without a contact in a market?
You can always, make it work somehow. You can be lucky, but failing 100% every time you go in a new market. For example, if you're bringing alcohol in the Middle East, where in some countries where the religious forbid you to drink, I think that can be difficult. But again, you can adapt, right? You can, you have beers now without alcohol, that a huge space coming on. So I think you can still, pivot and find some success in some way. So I think failing, it's natural, and the answer is how you're gonna, find the answer to bounce back. I think that's more important. I think success, like Erich was saying, you can fail 9 times, but as long as you succeed 10 times, it's okay.
So Erich, yes. Building local or building global from day one?
I would say your mindset has to be global. Because local is something that can change very quickly. I find nowadays, yes, we still have our passports and borders and all that, but technology, even humanity, is not local, and so we need to build global solutions. You may adapt it everywhere, but it needs to be able to scale globally. That's my view.
And Shika, one cross-border tech failure that nobody seems to learn from, and it keeps repeating.
Definitely, like for a Japanese company to come to Germany, for example, like regulations and the GDPR are quite important, and it's often underestimated. Like sometimes you really need to change the whole server kind of structures based on how you built already in Japan. So yeah.
So this is a question for everyone. The technology that you think would matter for cross border builders in the next decade. Whoever wants to go first.
AI agent is going to be. I mean, it's not only just a an innovation. AI agent will replace workforce in a scale, and I think this is an opportunity, but also you have to make sure that to find a way how you can capture the values and then be relevant in an age where everything can be done by AI.
I'd go digital twin. Regardless if it's going to be a manufacturing digital twin or my digital twin who is going to search something for me. So, yeah, digital twin.
I think it's the mindset of being able to read the market and pivot and adapt. So I can't tell you the technology in 10 years from now, but I can tell you if you're a sort of person that's curious, data-driven and able to understand where the consumers are heading and adapt what your solution is to meet that, then you'll be more successful than if you don't. So
I think it's not a technology, but rather a sector is energy. How do we power, the AI that Jerome is talking about? How do we make that happen in a sustainable way that doesn't continue killing the planet, and distributing that, making it reliable. So I think that's going to be key, because it's foundational even to AI. AI will not exist without energy.
That's right. Okay. So with that, we have come to an end for our podcast for today. Thank you for being with us, and we learned so much from this. And I hope that with this knowledge, our audience is able to think about how they can start thinking globally and making sure that they take the right steps from day one instead of day 100. So,
For having us.
yeah, thank you. It's good fun.
So with that, we have come to an end for a podcast for today, which was a special episode called Beyond Borders, where we had a scenario of a startup wanting to go global. And the interesting part of this specific episode was that we had 4 guests representing different corners of the world, right? Bringing us insights from how to build trust in a new market, how to find the right partner, how to localize in the new geography. All of the questions and aspects that are super important when we are wanting to go global and choose a market we want to build for, right? So till the next time you are thinking where next to take your product, make sure to like, subscribe, and share our channel with your friends and family. So see you then.